Good afternoon. You're watching us here on Mid-Cap Radar, virtually at the high point of trade for the Nifty. Across the board, we're seeing big gains come by. 130 points on the frontline index, 450 on the Sensex. We have the Nifty Bank, which otherwise is underperforming, is still sitting with a gain of 200 points. And the mid-caps are underperforming with the advanced decline split right down in the middle. However, it's been a good trading session. 18,000 after over 110 trading sessions is back on the Nifty. I'm Mangalam Malu, with me Ekta Batra. Hi Ekta.
Hi Mangalam, yes absolutely. I just want to bring up the fact that the NLEM list, which is the National List of Essential Medicines, that possibly has come out. Remember that it gets revised on a 3-year basis, and post-COVID there wasn't really much of a revision which took place, though there were some drugs which were expected to be added in 2021. So as of now, we do understand that a couple of drugs such as nicotine replacement therapy, as well as the likes of Montelukast, which is an anti-allergy drug, all of these commonly used drugs are in fact in the list. Now remember that many of these domestic companies were anticipating this, so they generally always sell at lower prices. So the impact should probably be negated by the fact that many companies are already expecting this. So nonetheless, this is on the NLEM. We'll get more details on it, but as of now, the top stories. Markets in fine fettle with the Nifty above 18,000. Mid caps underperform, small caps do better. Index gains close to 0.5%.
Dr. Lal PathLabs and Metropolis are weak in a strong market. Credit Suisse says the diagnostic industry is at the cusp of a perfect storm. Initiates an underperform call on Dr. Lal's and resumes coverage on Metropolis with an underperform rating.
Positive commentary from select corporates. Thomas Cook's management tells CNBC-TV18 the company sees a pickup in business with corporate travel at pre-pandemic levels. Saturn Credit Care's management too says momentum has bounced back. Tells CNBC-TV18 dispersals are back to pre-COVID levels.
Select mid-caps buzz in trade. Media stocks DB Corp and HT Media surge. KRBL Kajaria Ceramics from the consumption space, as well as SPIC and Nagarjuna Fertilizer from the fertilizer pack also gain. Well, we're talking about the mid-caps, on mid-cap radar, and a lot of them are actually spiking as we speak. We do have some gains come by for names like Bandhan Bank, which has seen a big spike. Alongside that, we have Samvardhana Motherson as well, which has moved to the high point of trade. Adani Enterprises, which enters the Nifty from September 30th. We will watch out for that as well. And at the same time, we're seeing some, sort of gains coming by on Z Entertainment too. Let's get in Manish Hathi-Ramani of Deen Dayal Investments for his view on the market. Manish, 18,000 is here, 18,060 is here, whereas we're seeing some underperformance come by from the Nifty Bank and the mid-cap index at an index level. What are your thoughts? What happens to life after 18,000?
Good afternoon, Mangalam and Ekta. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I think we're in very strong territory. We have crossed 17,992, which was the intermediate high which was made. That should be taking us to a bare minimum of about 18,200. While we are on that journey to 18,200, we would have also crossed the previous high, which was about 18,114. So overall, from a trend perspective, I feel the Nifty is headed to about 18,500, and 17,500 is a very strong support.
Okay, what are the stocks that you would be recommending, Manish?
Well, from the mid-cap space, I'm recommending two stocks, Welspun India and Gujarat Pipavav, which is GPPL. Welspun India has a buy for a target of 95, stop loss of 75. Very strong base build-up has happened around the levels of 75. If you look at a volume chart, we've got good volumes which have been clocked between the levels of 75 to 80. Gujarat Pipavav is a buy for a target of 110, stop loss of 83. 80 and 81 were really the resistance levels for the stock. We have spent considerable time around that level, and thereafter we triggered it smartly. The recent high of 95.85 is important, which we have also clocked this morning, which makes it eligible for higher levels.
Take that point. Thanks a lot for your stock ideas as well as your views on the index. Gujarat Pipavav doing well. Welspun India has been doing well for the last couple of trading sessions, has been buzzing around as well. But talking about buzzing stocks, let's talk about mid-cap movers. We have Sonia at the big wall to take us through the mid-caps that have been moving around in trade. Sonia.
Well, thanks a lot for that. You know, today there was definitely a problem of plenty, right? So many stocks doing well. So I thought I'll pick a few of them hitting 52-week highs. Let's start with DB Corp. There's all these rice stocks that are doing very well. There's KRBL, LT Foods, all rallying anywhere between 9 to 12% odd. Moving on, you have plenty of other stocks. Just take a look at Navneet Education, fresh 52-week high over there. There's Wonderla Holidays, Westlight Development. This whole consumption piece has picked up in a big way, whether it's entertainment or even holidays and travel. Specialty chemicals are gaining in a big way today. So SRF, Deepak Nitrite, Lakshmi Organics. And if you remember, a lot of these stocks like alkyl amines had moved to the back burner for the last many weeks and months. And now finally, there's a rally that's coming back there, anywhere between 3 to 8% apiece. Let's move to the losing end now. You have stocks that are not too many losers to identify today, but names like PC Jewelers, Crompton Consumers. There's profit taking actually that you're seeing in some of these names like Tube Investments as well, which have had a phenomenal run up until now. And talking about profit taking, even in names like, Kolte Patil, Ujjivan Small Finance, a little bit of money being taken off the table. But otherwise, it's a long list of gainers.
Welcome back. The stocks from the broader markets which are gaining may, make you wonder what has changed. Well, nothing, but apart from the fact that it has been a big bull market that we've seen from the lows. Now, life above 18,000 on the Nifty, maybe time for the small caps to catch up as well. Coffee Day is one such. Locked in the 20% upper circuit mark after having corrected about 30% from the highs. And, the stock has rallied almost 140% from the lows in this year itself. So, wonder what has changed for Coffee Day. Turns out perhaps not much, but it's a big move that we're witnessing out there. The rice stocks, which we've been talking about for the last few days itself, KRBL is up 12%. Giving it company is LT Foods, which is up another 9% in today's trading session. PB Fintech from the new age businesses doing extremely well as well, up around 11% odd. And giving it company from the new age business space itself is Zomato, which is currently at the high point with a gain of about 5% odd. And Car Trade Tech as well has rallied all the way up to 702 odd rupees, is currently moved to the high point of trade too. But what's actually doing well are all the commercial, so to say, consumption names that we have, the likes of Wonderla Holidays, which has rallied almost 80-85% in just the last couple of months ever since their stellar first quarter numbers. And we do have Windlass Bio, which is doing well, and alongside that we have Hikal as well, which is up about 6% odd. So that's about the gainers in the broader markets. Among the stocks which are not doing too well, Astral in the F&O space really stands out. That's the one which is at the low point of trade with a cut of almost 4.5% odd. Currently, losing from the highs and has been an underperformer all through this week as well with a cut of about 6% odd. But one such stock on our radar right now is IRB as well. But before we talk about IRB, let's talk about IndusInd Bank. That's the one stock which is actually at the high point of trade. We do have Nimesh with us on a standout brokerage report that has come by. He skimmed through all of them. Nimesh, what stands out about this one?
Hi, Mangalam. Jana, today's standard was an MFI, and there was a good note from Goldman Sachs, and they believe that the MFI sector is at an inflection point. And to play that space, the three best positioned stocks are Bandhan Bank, IndusInd Bank, and L&T Finance. Now, while the valuations have corrected for all the three stocks between 40 to 50% versus a 10-year average, averages, market is not pricing in any sort of improvement in ROA as well as the growth in momentum. So that's where they believe one should look at this stock. So Goldman is expecting the second half of FY23 to be quite strong on the back of improving loan demand, as well as most of the provisionings which has been done by these MFIs are behind now. So there's going to be a leg up on that side as well. On individual companies, Goldman has a buy on Bandhan Bank with a target price of 390, and they believe Bandhan Bank is likely to deliver the best-in-class ROEs over the next 3 years. On IndusInd Bank, they have a buy rating as well and a target price of 1187. Now, on IndusInd Bank, Goldman believes that the company will be able to deliver a PPOP growth of 19% CAGR over the next 3 years, and they will maintain a healthy ROA of 1.7% and an ROE of over 15% over the next 3 years. As far as L&T Finance is concerned, again, they have a buy rating there with a target price of 100 rupees. And even in L&T Finance, Goldman expects that the bank will be able to deliver a PPOP growth of 18% CAGR over the next 3 years and will maintain a healthy ROE of 2.7% and an ROE of 13%. So on back of this, there was a good note from Goldman, and they believe that MFIs are at inflection, and the best way to position is into Bandhan Bank, L&T Finance, and IndusInd Bank.
Okay, it's definitely positive for financials. Nimesh, thanks very much for that. And in fact, it's definitely a great day for something like a Bajaj Finserv from the entire financial space. So this particular business, which includes the insurance business of including Bajaj Finance, which is the lending business, is in fact a top gain on the Nifty, up around 4% odd. So do watch out for Bajaj Finserv doing very well in today's trading session, followed by something like a Bharti Airtel, which too is gaining around 2% odd. But let's move on then. IRB Infra is also buzzing in trade today. The company's toll collections have increased for the month of August. Vivek is here. He's tracking the data and the stock.
Well, that's right. So two stocks of both, the IRB twins, IRB Infra as well as IRB Infrastructure Trust. Both the company actually gave the exchanges the toll data for the month of August of 2022. Some strong data coming in, but we also have to keep in mind that the base, the base month of August 2021 was a little skewed. So first, let's have a look at the data. August 2022 toll collections was up almost 35% for IRB Infra, coming in at close to 336 crore. And when you're talking about IRB InvIT, it was up almost 38%, coming in close to 72 crore. What we have to keep in mind is the fact that in August 2021, toll collection for a lot of the projects was actually stopped on account of the farmers' agitation that took place, and this was something that has actually skewed the data. Also, when you're keeping in mind IRB Infrastructure InvIT, a couple of projects were actually ended, the concession period ended, so collection too stopped over there. So keeping this in mind, despite that, it's a very strong set of toll collection data that we are seeing, and both of the stocks are doing quite well in the session today.
Take your point, Vivek. Thank you so much for giving us the details on IRB. But let's talk about the mid-cap spotlight. And Ekta, you're focusing on a mid-cap stock, Zydus Life Sciences.
Well, yes, I'm focusing on a bunch of pharmaceutical companies, or rather two pharmaceutical companies in the mid-cap spotlight today. So Zydus Life Sciences is the company that I'm focusing on. An important piece of news which has come in there because they've received approval from the US drug regulator for Revlimid generic. Now, we've mentioned Revlimid generic all the way since the start of this year. It is a blockbuster cancer drug. It was one of the hottest selling drugs in the world when it came to cancer treatment, with global sales of over $12 billion before it went generic, over $8 billion just in the US market before it went generic. It went generic in March 2022 when Natco as well as Teva launched in partnership in the US as the first generic company. Now, what has taken place is that a couple of companies have received approval. Remember that Natco's exclusivity got over on the 7th of September, and we did have Dr. Reddy's, which launched the drug in the US markets, and they have exclusivity on two strengths, which is the 20 mg as well as the 2.5 mg version of this particular drug. Now, we also had Cipla, which received final approval for it. They're still to launch. They have said that they will be launching it soon. And now Zydus too has received final approval from the US drug regulator. They have mentioned in their press release that they will be launching the drug soon. So we don't have a timeline on when they could probably launch the drug, but the street is anticipating that it could be sooner than later. Remember that Boehringer Ingelheim, which is basically the patent holder of this particular drug, of Revlimid generic, has settled with all of these companies, around 10 companies, most of them Indian generic manufacturers, to basically launch a volume limited version of this particular drug till the 30th of Jan 2026. So the likes of Zydus, Cipla will be possibly launching in the US market soon. They could make up to $300 million, according to some analysts, in the next 3 odd years till they have this volume limited amount that they can sell in the US.
All right, take that point.
And yes, and we have Lupin, which is in focus. I forgot about Lupin. Lupin is in focus because it's made strides in the biosimilar world. They have got the Health Canada nod, which is basically they can launch this particular biosimilar in the Canadian markets, not as lucrative as the US markets, but it just is indicative of the fact that they have prowess in the biosimilar world. For Enbrel, for the biosimilar version of Enbrel, which is basically a biosimilar used to treat arthritis, it basically is indicative of the fact that yes, they are stepping into the biosimilar world. Will they make as much money as they would in probably the US markets? Not as much. Health Canada is more of a sentiment positive as compared to maybe a large amount of money being made from the markets.
Take that point. Thanks a lot for that, Ekta. We'll take a short break. Up next, we'll get you excerpts of CNBC's conversation with Ajay Piramal. let's get to a source-based story that comes in. TIMSI brings us the news that the government is likely to announce a calibrated correction in windfall gains tax levies. TIMSI, tell us more.
Well, as we know, the fortnightly review for the windfall gain tax is now due. The last review was announced on 1st of September, and now it can be announced anytime soon. And what we are gathering from sources is that given the trend that we have seen in the international crude oil prices, which were below $100 per barrel in the last fortnight, based on that, Petroleum Ministry has recommended a correction, and that's something that is expected once Revenue Department takes a call on the levies. What we are given to understand is also that this could be announced soon, and there could be a calibrated correction, especially in the levy of crude. So let's see what happens finally once the government announces. But yes, this is the routine review that it will take on the windfall gains tax levy. And let's see if there's a review or a relief for that matter when it comes to the levies. Back to you.
Okay, all right, TIMSI. Thanks very much for bringing us those details and tracking the story so closely. Well, let's move on then and get excerpts from CNBC's interesting conversation with the Piramal Group Chairman, Ajay Piramal. CNBC's Tanveer Gill spoke with him about the NBFC business and the DHFL merger and more. Listen in.
The NBFC business also has undergone a transformation. Last year, we did a merger with DHFL, which was one of the largest home loan companies in the country. DHFL, just for information, was a company which had gone bankrupt. It was the first company which was referred by the Reserve Bank of India to the bankruptcy courts, the first finance company. And we were successful in that, which has meant that our business of lending, which was early on mainly towards wholesale, has now been diversified into wholesale as well as retail. So the lending business today is about 40% retail and 60% wholesale. In the next 3 to 5 years, we want to make it really 2/3 retail and 1/3 will be wholesale.
Why is that the plan? Isn't it either way is very competitive in the retail market? How would you time it?
It is very competitive. So what we are moving is that we are going into those customers who are not easily reached by banks and other large NBFCs. So for instance, in the housing loans, we do not go to the major cities, or we don't go to the prime customers. We would go to tier 2, tier 3 cities where we can assess the risk well, where there are people who have the credit worthiness to take home loans, but who are not easily reached by banks and the larger NBFCs. So that's what our strategy is, to go into more and more tier 2, tier 3 with the use of technology, with distribution. And
isn't the time risky with rates going up?
No, I think the records, as far as you look at home loans is concerned, that people have been, the record shows that home loans, the default rates are very low, and people are by and large in India, that is your biggest actually investment that any family makes.
Yeah.
And it's not that you make more than one home. So you don't want to lose that, and you would only be conservative and do whatever it takes to ensure that you are repaying your loans on time.
Okay, so that's the chairman of Piramal. Remember that now what you see in terms of Piramal Enterprises is only the NBFC business, and we will soon have the pharma business relisting on the exchanges. That's all the time, however, that we have on Midcap Radar as well. MF Corner, once we're back, stay tuned.